That was the mic test.
So help me sync the audio too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay. So that's a loaded question with a loaded answer. But when music first found me, or when I first found music, I was a child and I was gifted a drum set by my neighbors, and I played that drum set all the time until it broke. And then I was gifted instruments throughout the years from family members and my parents. And it was about 14 when I really started falling in love with music a little bit more than the average person. And I was like, I want to like make something. I got something to say as well. Yeah. I believe I was in elementary school and I had left the classroom to go to the restroom, but I took a tape recorder with me. And don't ask how I got it out the class. But I went and I recorded in the hallway a drum beat on the tape recorder. And I went to someone's random class, random teacher. And I was like, hey, you guys, can I perform for you? And I played the drum beat on the tape machine and I sung to the beat. And the teacher was like, I don't know like what class you're supposed to be in, but this was great, and I go back to class. Yeah, that felt great. It was scary, but it was interesting. Music definitely runs in my family. My mom sings, my grandma sings, like my aunt Tanda sings, everybody in my family sings basically. Um, Everyone can play an instrument in some way, shape, or form. My cousin Braylon, bass player for Erica Badu, cousin Corey, keyboardist for the Zach Havern band, like, yeah, it definitely runs in the family. So, depending on, I guess, the time period that I'm in, back in the day, I used to start from conjuring something in my mind. I'd hear a melody and then I'd be like, okay, let me go try to like recreate this on, my keyboard or my guitar. And then I do that and that's how I would create my songs. These days, now I could pick up my instrument and I can feel what's trying to come through because I feel like it's coming from like a source that's like a bit higher than I am, like maybe like my higher self, so to say. My ideas mostly come from watching the world around me in my own life, both. So, from my own life, different experiences I have that shape me or, make me feel some form of emotion, I definitely like go to my guitar and I'll be like, you know what, girl, I got something to talk about, and we'll talk about it together, and then, we'll record that conversation, and then I got a song. And then the world around me, of course, like there's so much to talk about. My album called Dreams. That'll be out soon. So, on this album, it goes through the woes of a breakup and then refinding myself, traveling, not being stable, not having a home base, falling in love or thinking you're falling in love, and a little bit of heartbreak there. But, overall, it's just, dreams that you have, like, all of these lofty daydreams that you have that you want to, you know, live in, and you experience it for a little bit, and then time goes by and you're back to reality. I hear from a lot of people that live in Dallas, a lot of musicians and creatives, oh, Dallas doesn't have anything for me, oh, I'm so done with Dallas. And that's how I was feeling in 21, and I just felt like a call to LA or to New York, and New York was too big for me, and LA was great, but it was far. I mean, they both are opposite ends of the country, but LA just had like a different feel to it. So I went, and I soon discovered a lot of things I wanted to and didn't want to. LA represented to me that you can do things at a larger scale and not have to apologize for it. The buildings are huge, the personalities are huge, the glamour of it all, the mirage of it all is huge. Um, the people that are there are huge. This is where a lot of the world's leading talent lives. You know, there's a lot of big money going in and out of that place as well, and it's a beautiful like landscape. You know, it just opened my eyes to dream bigger. um, I met all types of people when I was in LA for those 3 years. I met people that were native to the land, they didn't give, can I cuss in the interview? They didn't give a fuck about, the glamour and the Hollywood of it all. I met the Hollywood of it all. I met those that thought that they were, going to achieve something big and great, but eventually they, fizzed out and ended up on the streets. I met those that were on the streets, and there were a lot of those that were on the streets. I met those that were like me, that were just there trying to, do the best that they could to go further in their craft. I met people in production that had good hearts and that had questionable hearts. You know, there was a lot of different energies there. And for someone like me, who's a little bit more introverted most of the times, um, it was a lot for me, to kind of take in all at once. But luckily, I'm very adaptable. And I know a good egg from a bad egg. The Voice has been trying to happen for a couple of years, and it was 2018 when I was in a studio quite like this in Dallas, and I went to go audition, um, and I was told that I was pitchy, and it was true. I took that to heart, and I practiced for years, and I kept auditioning every year for The Voice, other shows. Um, and I just didn't hear anything. And um, going to LA, backtracking to that whole, it makes your mind think bigger, and you feel more elevated being there. Um, I I started like writing better songs when I was there. I started feeling more emotions and allowing myself to transmute them out through my, guitar and words. And I think that helped me a lot with my audition while I was there. And also, I think the proximity of me being there helped their decision to be like, oh, okay, he's local, and also too, like, he's great. Let's get him in here. So I auditioned, and the whole process happened. Getting that call felt great. Everything changed. Everything changed. I stepped into what the spiritual girlies call 5D. I stepped into like the higher frequency. Um, I met some great people. Am I in contact with any of these people still? Yes. Um, but just like the real world, you meet some people and then they come in your life and they leave your life. Everybody has their own, motives and ways of moving. Um, Everybody has their own, like, purposes and goals that they were trying to achieve. Production was beautiful. Everybody knew what they were doing. They were nice to me. Um, yeah. So after the show, I went back home naturally, and I started like just kind of like low-key falling into depression a little bit. And this is interesting because I never talked about this, but I like started drinking more, and like I was creating music, but I wasn't really getting anything done, and it just seemed like life was just like kind of like throwing blows left and right, and I don't know how many people would like understand this, but I was 29 at the time, and I was going through like a Saturn return. And when you go through your Saturn return, that's like a very transformative time period. Like the universe is like, if you're not on your shit, then you know what? I'm coming for you. And I wasn't on my shit really like that. And I was feeling it, I just didn't understand how I experienced everything, and then I'm experiencing like nothing, And then it was very interesting for me to see other castmates like going further, and they were technically in the same position I was, and I just didn't understand like how were they like getting shows and bookings and this and that, and they're on this TV show and that TV show, you know. But sometimes redirection is, like the old people say, God's protection. And I was discovering a lot of character building at that time, and I ended up, breaking up with my partner as well at that time, and moved back home to Texas. And ever since I moved back home, things have been going like I wanted them to, and like they're supposed to, sometimes when you are pushing hard in life against something and you think it's good for you, it might not be. And if you keep noticing like a lot of resistance, maybe you should back off and judge and redirect. And I had to redirect where my energy was going, because it kept returning back to me void. And so now, being back home, I've been with friends and family. I've been like performing. I've been having people trying to get me out of the house to go perform and all of this. And I'm just like, yo, I'm recording an album right now. Like, I'm very happy where I am musically right now. There's a lot of great things coming. There's only so much I can talk about because I don't want to get sued. But I felt like the ball was dropped by a couple of individuals. Um, but after time passing by, I'm happy it was dropped. I'm happy it was not in their hands. It was never supposed to be in their hands, you know. I wanted that experience for a certain reason, and I got everything I wanted. So, what most people don't understand, or what I would like to tell people going into opportunities like that come to you, take them, okay? It's a great opportunity for you if it is, especially like on a public platform like that. Take it. Um, be aware that you are on a television show and you are on a reality TV show. Okay, so there are storylines, there are scripts, there are motives, there are goals, and there are multiple individuals that are involved in the networking of everything. You know, it's not the you show, it's whatever show that you're on, and you are a part of it, and that's great for history. You know, take what you can from it, and when it's done, go on to the next thing that the universe is providing. After The Voice, I went back to what I was doing before The Voice, and that was animating. I stayed, in production and doing PA work as well. And I creatively, I think it made me want to just emote more and put my music, to tape more and, just get it out of me. Because I mean, once you have that type of exposure and then you have people emailing you and, DMing you like, hey, where's your music at? Where's your music at? You're just like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I should like share this. This is not just mine. Um, so it gave me a little bit of motivation. Not gonna lie, a lot of bit of motivation actually to be like, okay, people fuck with me. Like, let me go ahead and, share. This is a more of a spiritual answer, but there were nights I gave up. There were nights that I got really close to not wanting to be on this planet. There were nights that I just didn't understand anything, that was going on. But my trust and faith that, you know, the sun is going to rise tomorrow and that there are better things coming and there's a higher something up here, keeps me going. And every time I write a new song, I'm just like, oh, okay, this is why. Yeah. And besides music, animation has always kept me grounded. Having to draw frame by frame traditionally, um, you know, is going to keep you grounded, of course. That's a lot of time and effort that you put into something. Um, Also, I like to sew and knit and create things, like to see things come from my mind and come into reality. Um, and then other things that keep me grounded, I smoke. I make jewelry. Um, I sit at my altar and I talk to my ancestors. Um, yeah, I eat. Ooh, I think of those other passions as survival tools and my core identity, simply because everyone should know how to make their own clothing. Everyone should know how to prepare their own food. Um, to be honest with you, everyone can sing, everyone can draw, everyone can dance. You just have to train yourself in those abilities. Um, and I've trained myself in those abilities, which is what separates me from others, and it makes me an artist. So that's why I call it my core identity too. Um, yeah. I have never felt like people have tried to box me in creatively or personally because people don't really know who I am. I've never really like revealed myself to people like that. I am now. Like Diana Ross said, I'm coming out. I just, I've been sitting on a lot of like music. I have like probably about 300 songs, and all of them are in multiple different albums that I've made over the years from 2011 to 2025. Um, so I had been wanting to come back to Texas for a while. I've been telling the person that I was with in California, hey, we should go back to Texas. We should go back to Texas. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like it here no more. But eventually, once we broke up, I was like, yeah, why am I still here? I'm about to go home. And my granny called me. She was like, you want a bus? You want a train? You want a plane? And I said, I'll take a bus. I want to do a bus this time. Do, a little bluesy vibe. And I got to see so many different things. I went through the immigration checkpoints, and ICE came on the bus as well, and that was a whole thing. They asked me if I was a citizen as well, and I'm like, what does it look like? But yeah, it was a conscious choice. Being back in Texas now, after being in LA, feels like I've downgraded a little bit. Just simply in terms of like my career. But I do feel like I can, reset here and rest and rejuvenate myself. And so I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but until it's time to hop on the next bus or train or plane, then, I don't know. I think I'm learning how to define those things now. Yeah. I'm definitely learning how to define home and purpose and family and friends and all of those things. Yeah. Making it to me means that I am comfortable sharing my connection to spirit with others so that they can also connect to spirit too. And whatever that means to anyone that's watching, that's what it means to them. But for me, it means I'm comfortable connecting to your spirit as well. I'm not as comfortable doing that right now. I'm more still trying to learn how to connect to my own spirit. And so I think once I feel more comfortable with doing that for my own self, and that happens through my music and through my art and cooking and, my connections with different humans, then I'll be better at sharing and connecting with other people. Hmm. My spirituality. Yeah. It doesn't usually come up. Um, Definitely notice that I'm gay. That come up. Can't miss me being black. That comes up. But a lot of people don't know how deep I am. Um, and how, you know, solid I am in my understanding. I don't know a lot. I don't try to know a lot. I don't want to know a lot. All I know is like what I know. Um, and if it can help me, maybe it can help somebody else. I don't know. We don't know until we try. Can I look in the camera for this? Um, if you are in a bad place mentally, more than likely you could be in a bad place physically, spiritually, emotionally. There are so many different aspects. I would assess with yourself first, check in with your body, check in with your mind. How do you feel? If there are things that you can do to help those, issues, then do those things. More than likely, you should drink some water. You should eat. You should go outside, get under the sun, laugh, you know, go back to those childhood things that brought you joy as well. Color, blow some bubbles, do something. But, a lot of times we don't talk about mental health as artists, and we parade around as if that's like, something of glamour or entertainment, when a lot of people are actually suffering, you know, behind the console, or they're suffering behind the camera, you know. Um, so make sure you always check in with yourself first. Before you're an artist, you are a human, you know. Um, you got to make sure that this is right. This is the vehicle that's carrying your spirit, and if this vehicle isn't right, then how can it carry your soul? You won't be here long. So, make sure you keep up with yourself. Looking ahead, I don't really know if I can answer what type of life or legacy I'm trying to build. I just want to be happy. I want to be at peace as much as I can in this world of things that I cannot control. I want to have money because I have to in a society. Um, I want to have a car, a home, family, friends, the normal stuff. What do I believe in? Technically, I believe in everything. If you know about it, there's something to it, okay? If we have heard a fable or a folk tale, or have come across some type of manuscript or text or something from any culture, religion, any time period, I think that it is necessary that we look at it, because it's here. It's still here. It's still in front of our eyes. There's something that we can glean from it. Should it control our lives and our school systems and our governments? No. I think that humans are intelligent enough to create, structure, and foundation for ourselves while we're here in our time that we have here on this planet. But um, I just believe that whatever energy that has created me, or creators that have created me, or y'all, um, you know, I ask them to show up. And if they show up, then that's who I'm going with. And what I mean by show up is you could have a phone bill to do or something like that, and you needing to pay it. Or like me, when I was in LA, I was, in motels back to back, and I didn't know how I was going to pay the bill some days. And I called out to my spiritual team, is what I like to call them. And it's a collection of my guardian angels, my ancestors, my, whatever other spiritual beings that are with me, deities that I believe in, Jesus and them, like, And I was like, yo, I need some help. Like, I'm gonna be out in the street. Like, and then ding, my phone dings, and I have like, a deposit that came through for a client from a client, and I wasn't expecting it that early or something like that. That's happened on times, countless times. I can't even count them. Um, I think it's just really like faith and believing that you're not out here by yourself, you know. Even if it seems like that, there's a lot of crazy shit going on all at one time. It's always been like that, you know. And I mean, just think about it. There was a time where you could get like bit by a mosquito and everybody dies. I mean, that's still happening now, but like we didn't have the antibiotics and modern medicines and technologies that we have now always, so there were rougher times people were going through. In these times, we're so focused on our mental health and focused on our actual well-being, but we forget our spirit. And I think if people like checked in with their spirits, they'd understand themselves a bit more, and the people around them, they'd be like, oh, maybe she's not having a bad day because she's a bitch. Maybe she's like experiencing some trauma that came from some ancestral things or some childhood things that have traveled to now, or maybe she actually has like some negative energies like around her or whatever like that. I don't know. You never know. The best thing that you can do is just protect yourself when you go out. Cover yourself, pray, do whatever you can do, and go about your business.